The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'm also a Director Consultant and a member here in the Rhode Island region in the United States. Today's webinar is part of our 30-minute webinar series, and this is going to be on maintaining your chapter website. So for anybody out there that is a chapter webmaster or is interested in becoming a chapter webmaster, this is going to go over some of the very basics of how the CMS portion or the content management system portion of BNI Connect works. We'll have some time. Again, the content's going to be about 30 minutes, and then we will have time for questions and answers after. That is optional if you'd like to stay for that. And I'm happy to stay on these calls until all of your questions are answered. So I'm going to jump right into it. The session is being recorded. It will be made available on our YouTube channel, hopefully as soon as it's done converting in a couple of hours. Our YouTube channels, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. So youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. It'll also be available on our support site located at support.bniconnect.com or by clicking on this little question mark here in BNI Connect. All right, so here's the deal, chapter websites. If you guys have a chapter in BNI and you guys are on BNI Connect, then your chapter has a website. Every chapter in the world, there's somewhere in the vicinity of 6,000 or so of them out there. The way to find them is usually by going to your regional website. People search for your chapter, and then they can find your chapter website. Or if you have a domain name associated with it, it can be pointed there as well. But let's take a look at one of the chapter websites now. This is a default chapter website. So if you have never done anything to your chapter website, this is what it's going to look like. It has your meeting location. It has your about your chapter. The amount of thank you for closed business, which is pulled right from the POMS report for the last 12 months. It has a little bit of generic text about BNI and about the chapter. It has a graphic. It also has links to all of your members. So there's only 4 members in this chapter, even though it is called the Frosty 5. And it has the option of having a picture gallery up there as well. Again, I've done a couple of little customizations on this one, but for the most part, this is what chapter websites look like out of the box. Now, let's take a look at another chapter that has done some customization to their website. So I'm just going to Google. There's a chapter in Massachusetts called Mill River BNI. So I'm just going to type in Mill River BNI. You notice that these are searched and indexed by Google. So people can find your chapter website when they are searching through Google. And this is the link to their chapter site. And here's some things that they've done with their website. They have added the ability, they again have kept the thank you for closed business up there. They've added some custom text, such as that they were a Founders Award winner for 2 years in a row. They also have a link to search for members. They have their Twitter account on here. They have a Facebook API account on here. They have their address. They replaced that graphic with a Google map so people know how to get to their chapters. They also, again, all the chapter members are listed, and those will link through to a chapter profile or a member profile page as well. And they also have a chapter news page. So they've turned their photo gallery into almost like a news feed of things that are happening in their chapter. So these are just a couple of the things that you can do with your chapter website. Some are easier, some are a little bit more advanced, and we'll see we can cover as much as we can today in the 30-minute time slot. So now the way to get in to edit your chapter website is through BNI Connect. So the first thing that you do need to do is to log in to BNI Connect, which I've done already here. The place to access the CMS is under the Tools function. So you go to Tools, CMS, Chapter Websites. Or if you happen to have customized your chapter menu here, one of the options that is available is Chapter Websites, and that would take you directly to that function as well. Now, if that's not available, if Tools CMS is not listed or the Tools function isn't there at all, you do need to contact your chapter director, consultant, contact your executive director or your regional office, and they will be able to assign this permission to you. It is something that does need to be granted from your regional office. So once you do have the permission, you'll see Tools, CMS, Chapter Websites. Now, by default, it's going to show all of the chapter websites that you have access to edit. Now I'm going to switch to Antarctica here, and I'm going to switch into this is our test country, the Antarctica. I'm going to switch into our Shiver region. And because I'm a system administrator, I have access to all of these chapter websites. If you're the chapter webmaster for one chapter, then you would only see one thing listed in here. So it would look something like, let me just do a quick filter here. You may only see this one chapter listed. Now, it'll show you the link to the website, and if you click on this, it'll open it up in a new window, and it'll bring us right to that chapter page. Now, you can see I've used this one for testing before, so it's all customized, if you will. If you'd like to edit the chapter page, what you're going to do is click on this Edit button over to the right. So I'm going to pick this Frosty 5 chapter. Nope, I've done some customization on that. So let me take a look at Polar Referrals and see if we can customize that. So once we get into the edit portion, this is what the first function of the CMS editor looks like. And what you'll see here on the first page is the layout for your chapter website. So you can see you have a home page, you have a chapter members page, and then you have the subsections or the subpages of the chapter members, the member details, the chapter details, and the send message. And then you have the chapter gallery. You have the option to edit the names of some of them. You can customize the meta tags, and you can edit the content. And on the gallery, there's also a special option whether or not you would like to show or hide this page. We'll get back into this in just a second. Let me show you what these other tabs are, though. You'll notice there's two other tabs at the top. One says Library, and one says Site Information. Now, the Library tab, in order to put pictures onto a website, we have to first get them up onto the server. And that's what this library is your first step to getting your own custom graphics or documents or Flash objects, whatever it is that you'd like to put into your site, you have to put it into the library first. Now, the way to do that is just by clicking this Upload button. So if I click this Upload button, it's going to say, okay, well, let's move it from your computer to our computer. So we click on this magnifying glass, and then we just go find a picture on our computer. So let's see, I have a couple of them on my desktop here. So let's say I wanted to get this file up there. It has to be a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF file. So it says it's ready to upload. So I'm not sure I have the right file. If not, I can cancel it. And then I'm going to click the Upload button. So depending on the size of the graphic, it'll take anywhere from about 1.5 seconds as it did now to a minute. And if you'd like to upload another one, just click the Upload button again. So you want to go through this process first to get all of the pictures that you're looking for up into your website. And I'm just going to grab another couple of pictures here. I'm going to grab this BNI logo and upload it. And let me grab one more just so we have something in our library here. And I'm going to grab, let's say, this other BNI Connect logo here. And now all of these will be available to us on any of the pages that we're editing for us to put in as graphics. We can do the same exact thing with documents. If you need to put links to documents for downloading, let's say it's a spreadsheet or something like that that you'd like to store, or a PDF file, same exact process, just for document files. And the same thing for Flash objects. So if you have any fancy Flash objects, just a warning with Flash objects, it may not be friendly for people that are browsing your chapter site from especially Apple mobile devices and some Apple browsers as well. So that's the library. The third tab on here is the Site Information tab. Now the Site Information tab, some of this information you can change and some of it you can't. The first thing up here shows you your domain name. Now what that is that's the page that people are going to go to get to your chapter site. Now you may or may not like this name, and the reason it's like this is just the default. So what it's going to do is put your region's name. So in this case, AntarcticReferrals.com is the regional domain. After that is the generated address for the chapter. So by default, it's going to do the name of the region and then the name of the chapter. Now, in some cases, that could be ridiculously long and complex and hard to remember. So you can edit this if you'd like it to be something a little friendlier. And the way to do that is by changing the chapter folder name. So let's say I really don't want this to say, if I'm going, I meet somebody at an event, oh yeah, check out our chapter page. It's antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-polar-referrals. That's kind of a mouthful. So maybe I just want it to be Polar Referrals. And that way, when people go, they just need to go to antarcticreferrals.com/polar referrals. Now, the next thing on the page here, the site tagline, that's what's listed here, Local Business Global Network. I can't change that. That is a BNI tagline. It is going to stay there. But these three buttons, those things we can change the name of, though I really caution you, please do talk with your executive director before you make changes to the names of those buttons. And the reason is for branding purposes, if there's consistency between all of the chapters in the region. Now, I'm just going to copy this and let's open up another page just so I can show you where those buttons are. Those are these buttons up here in the top right-hand corner. One of them brings you back to your regional website. In our case, that is the AntarcticReferrals.com website. One of them will bring you to BNI.com, the headquarters website. And then the third one will take you to the BNI Connect login. So let's say that you wanted to change the button for the members only. You want this to say instead, BNIC login. You can do that. So the final thing here is the analytics code. And what the analytics code is if you're using something like Google Analytics, you can insert that code here so that you can track all the clicks and traffic to your website. So once I click Update, it will save all of these changes. Now, anytime you make changes to your website, and this will be important as soon as we start looking at editing the content of these pages, what you're actually doing is writing to a temporary site, and then after you've confirmed all of that, it will take everything on the temporary site and copy it up to the live site that everybody else in the world is seeing. So right now we've made changes on the back end, but if we want to push those to the front end, we need to click this Publish button. So let me go ahead and click that Publish button. And you'll see that our name changed for the live URL. So if I click on this now, I'm going to go to AntarcticReferrals/Polar Referrals. So that's my friendly name of where I can send people to. And then also up here, the button that we changed the name of to BNIC for BNI Connect Login, that changed as well. All right, let's go back to the CMS editor here. So now the same thing holds true with some of the names of the pages. So we have the home page, the chapter members, and the gallery. Now if I look back here, we just have the home page and the chapter members. That's on our screen. Those two things we can change the name of if we would like to. And we do that by editing the name of the page. So let's say that I wanted to change our home screen to something called Our Chapter. I can do that. And I click Submit. Now again, if I go to our preview site, our temporary site where we're making our changes, I can do that by clicking on the preview URL. And we can see that this is now changed to Our Chapter. So if somebody goes to Chapter Members and they want to go back to Our Chapter, that will be there. Now again, on the live site, that hasn't changed yet because I haven't published it. So now the same is true for the Chapter Members tab and page and the gallery. Now the other thing you'll notice is that there is no gallery tab here. And that is because right now it is hidden. So if I wanted to use that, I would have to click Show. Are you sure you want to show this page? And click Submit. And now if I go to our preview site again, we'll see that the gallery is available. It's empty right now, which is why it's hidden in the first place, so that people aren't browsing on an empty page. But we can upload things into the picture gallery. Now, once you've enabled your gallery, you'll notice a new tab is up here as well, because just like we have to upload photos into our library to use on the site, because this is a picture gallery, we would need to upload photos and albums into the gallery. So I'll get back into that if we have time at the end, if anybody has any questions on it. Now, meta tags, that's so that you're able to be found in the search engines more easily. And I would definitely talk to the search engine optimization person in your chapter or the web designer in your chapter. They can give you some good tidbits and details on the art form of search engine optimization. But that's really what these meta tags are for. Let's get into the meat of this, and that is editing the site itself. Now, to edit any of these pages, we would click on the Edit Content button across from the page that we'd like to edit. Now, the pages have some information that you can edit and some that's going to be consistent because it's pulling data directly from the system. And again, from a branding perspective, it will be the same across every BNI chapter in the world. But let's click on this Edit Content button. Now, let me switch over to my other screen here for you. And let's take a look at this Edit Content page. So this is what comes up when you click on the Edit Content. You'll notice that we have in the middle the things that we can edit. That bar that was on the left that has all of the chapter details, where you meet, what time you meet, all of that, again, that's pulled directly from the inside of the system. So we can't edit any of that information. Likewise, if you have speakers scheduled, those will be automatically pulled from the inside of the system. So we can't edit that either. It's the middle part of this page that we're going to be spending the most time on. Now, one thing that isn't quite obvious is that this blue bar up here, you can edit that. So if you wanted to say something different than about our chapter, maybe you wanted to say about our wonderful BNI chapter, you can edit what's up in that page. So let's get into this bottom portion, and again, this is where we're going to be doing most of the customizing for our site. You'll notice there is one special variable in here, and that is this pound TYFCB. And that is the only variable right now that we're allowed to put in, or that's available for us to put into the text portion. But what this does is this pulls your last completed 12 months of thank you for closed business, and it displays them on that site. So right now it's displaying everything through the end of December 2012, and then on February 1st it will go from January 2012 through February 2012 through January 2013. So it's always a rolling 12 months, but it doesn't change week by week, only on the first of the month. Most of what you see here, it should be fairly familiar if you've ever used Microsoft Word or any word editing program, with some distinct differences that we'll go through right now. Let's take a look at the buttons. Now, the buttons are what we'll use to manipulate all of these things. The first button here, if you are a web designer by trade, you'll recognize what this is. And what this does is it flips to the source code. So right now we're using what's called the WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. And we can make the direct edits to the text and do formatting things and kind of see things the way that they're going to be displayed. If you are a coder by nature, please, by all means, click on the source button. This will allow you to go in and edit the back-end code. You can also do more advanced things in the source code. For example, if you did want to put that Facebook link onto your page using an iframe, you would have to go into the source code in order to do that. And if we have time at the end today, I can show you how to do that. This is also a great way to back up your website before you start making changes. So what you can do is go into the source code. You can see all the information here. I'm going to go and click Control-A to select everything. Right-click and choose Copy. And I'm just going to, on my other screen, I'm going to paste that into a Notepad document. And that way, when I'm done messing up this whole website, I can go back and revert it to exactly the way it was. All right, so there are other templates you can use if you would like to change the layout of what's here. And then this whole series of buttons here are pretty common to Word and any other editing program. So you have undo and redo and cut, copy, and paste. What you may not recognize is these next couple of buttons. And there's paste. Paste is plain text, and paste from Word. Now, in the web world, what it's going to try to do when you're using this WYSIWYG editor is to replicate the fonts and styles and things like that when you go to paste. A lot of times that can be problematic, though, depending on what fonts other people have, or it brings along some extra garbage code with it sometimes. So if you are copying text from another source, whether it's a website or a Word document or anything else like that, you're probably better off using this paste as plain text or paste from Word option, which will strip some of that extra stuff out of it. Now, as your page gets bigger, and you can make this page kind of as long as you want, you may want to use the find and replace functions. So if you are commonly misspell something, if I wanted to replace all the A's in this document with O's in this document, I can do that very easily. And 27 A's were replaced. So if I made a mistake, though, I can always hit the undo button and put those all back. So the next couple of buttons, the remove format button is another good one. If you start making a bunch of changes in here, and let's say that you have this and we've gone ahead and made a different color and made a different text color and made it a different size and made it a different font, and let's say I just want to get that back to normal, or I want to take everything and put it back to normal, I can go ahead and remove the formatting but keep the text. And that'll put it back to the default size, font, and weight, and color. So the next group of buttons here has all to do with forms. So if you're using your website to, let's say you wanted to create a form that captured visitor information. I'm interested in visiting the chapter, please fill out the form here. These are the tools that you would use to do that. Now, it will take a little bit of back-end coding if you're going to go down this route. So if you're not a web designer, you may want to talk to somebody fluent with web design before you go ahead making forms. But here's the gist of it. You can create a form and give the form a name. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now, within that form, you can put all of these different things. So you can put checkboxes. You can put radio buttons for selections. You can put text entry fields. You can put big text entry fields. Selection fields, so you can make lists of selections, so for people to choose from a list. And that way they would have a drop-down selection. You can go ahead and put buttons or buttons that are attached to an image. And you can put hidden fields as well. The next couple of options here just have to do with, this one is if you wanted to see, this is especially helpful if you're working in the source code to be able to maximize the screen. If you're working in the WYSIWYG editor, this does kind of mess up the proportions, but it is very helpful if I was to switch over the source field. So, and just click the button again to switch back. Stephen, I see you have a question. I'll get to your question in just 1 second. Showing the blocks helps with the text if you're going to align your text. So it's kind of like using the paragraph formatting in Word. And then the superscript and subscript, which is just if you're doing something like first and you wanted the ST to be a superscript, it would put that up there for you. The rest of these ones here, bold, italic, underline, those should be familiar. Bold, italic, underline. You have the strike through option as well. You can do bulleted lists and numbered lists. So bullet and a numbering. And then just paragraphs. So 1, 2, align center, align right, and justify. Now the next couple of buttons are web specific. So I'm just going to spend a minute on these. If you would like to put a hyperlink in, meaning you'd like when somebody clicks on something to go to another website, this is the way you would do that, by clicking on this link button. So if I wanted this word BNI, that when somebody clicked on it, it went to www.bni.com, I would click the link button and type in www.bni.com. Then what we'll see is that it becomes underlined and shaded so that when people click on that, it will bring them there. And if I decide later that I don't want to use that anymore, I can click the unlink button. And there's some other functions you can do with this as well, such as start a new mail message. So let's say I don't want it to go to URL, I want it to go somewhere else in the text, or I want it to start a new email. That's what you can use the link button for as well. The next thing you're probably going to want to do is to insert some images into your website. To do that, again, you first have to upload them to the library. Then you can grab the images. Now, up here in the yellow bar, you'll notice that we have a button here. It says Use Library Images. Now, those are all the images that you uploaded. BNI has some other images that they have uploaded as well as a common library. If you'd like to use those, click this button. And it will switch you to the common library. If you'd like to switch back, press it again, and it will go to your library. So if I'd like to insert a picture, I'm going to click this picture button, the image button. Then I can browse the server. And let me switch my screen here because it did a pop-up window. And find the image that I'd like to use. So let's say I'd like to put this image up that I uploaded before we started. And this is the image here. You can change the width and the height and click OK, and now you will see our image in the page. And the same is true for Flash objects. You can also insert tables. Tables are a great way to organize information and be able to keep it neat on the page. And you can also insert some lines, if you really, really want to, some smiley characters, and other symbols that may not appear on your keyboard, such as the copyright symbol. You can choose from different styles for your text. Again, different fonts, sizes, colors, and background colors. All right, so that covers this. Now, once you've made these changes, you do need to save it. If you're satisfied with the way it looks, we're going to hit close. And let me switch back over to my other screen for you now. Now we'll notice that our preview site, again, this is the back-end copy, has these changes. However, it's not pushed to our live site yet. For that, we have to hit publish. Now, the publish could take anywhere from a couple of seconds to a couple of minutes, depending on how many graphics and other things you have. But now that we have that done, let's go to our live site, and we can see all of our changes. So those are the basics of how to update and modify your website. Again, there's some other options on some of these other pages, but I do want to be respectful of the 30-minute time limit that we have today for those of you that may be listening during your lunch hour. And for those of you that do have to leave right on time, I'd like to thank you guys for being here today. Again, the full recording will be available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. You can also go directly to our support page by clicking on the question mark button in BNI Connect. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see all of the upcoming webinars, as well as at bottom, there's the training section. And in here, you'll see a link. All of the January webinars will be in this training section under BNI Connect recorded webinars for January 2013. Also, please join us on our Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. Okay, so I'm going to go back and for anybody that is with us still, and let's start answering some of the questions that you have. Now, I have a question from Stephen Finn, and Stephen says, I have gone into my BNI Connect, and I do not have the Tools tab. How do I get this set up? So if you are missing this Tools tab, you need to contact your Director Consultant or your regional office or your Executive Director. They need to assign you into the position of Chapter Webmaster, and once they have done that, that Tools option will magically appear, and you'll be able to go in and edit your chapter website. And or if you are, let's say, a web developer and they'd like you to edit or manage a bunch of chapter websites, you would see all of those available to you. Does that answer your question there, Stephen? Lauren asks, where does the form data go? So what happens is the system will collect the form data in the back end. What gets a little bit challenging, and this is where you need a little bit more advanced web programming to do it, is getting the data now put into something that either emails you or prints it out somewhere or pastes it somewhere. So that's, again, where a little bit more advanced stuff comes in that we just don't have time to cover on today's webinar. But definitely talk to a web designer about that, and I'm sure that they can help you with the with working with forms within a website. So does that help, Laura? I know it doesn't exactly answer your question. All right, so Nicole asks, can anyone in the chapter make changes to the chapter website? And again, you do have to be assigned to be a chapter webmaster in the system before you can make changes. But that doesn't mean that you have to be a web designer. You can have multiple people. So let's say that there's 5 people in chapter that want to take responsibility for maintaining the chapter website. The region can assign all 5 people to do that. So it doesn't have to be just one person, but you do have to get the permission from your regional office in order to do so. So does that answer your question, Nicole? Laura asks, can you include captions with photos in the gallery? Laura, can I assume that you mean hover text, so that if you're hovering over the image, it displays an alt text? So can you clarify for the captions what you're looking for there? So for text under the photo, it's a good question. So let's take a look and see if we can. And I'm going to switch over here to the web editor. And let's take a look. So here's a graphic. So, I mean, there's 2 ways to do it, either just by putting text under the graphic and centering it and focusing it and things like that. But if we look at the graphic itself, the image properties, we can have alt text. We can put borders and things like that around it, as well as link it to external sources. But as far as just having a direct caption, it would have to be part of the formatting of how you have that graphic in the system, if that makes sense. And one way to do that, by the way, one way that I've seen that done is by using tables. So people will put a graphic inside of the table to keep them nice and aligned. And for example, this table that we have down here, if I click on image, let me go grab an image. And I'm not going to switch screens just because it'll take so long, but I just grabbed an image from here. And click OK. And as part of that image within here, I can put a caption. And then I can line up another image into, oops, wrong button here. Let's line up another image in here. I'm just going to grab another logo. I can put that in there. And have it like that. I mean, that would be one way of doing it. I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for. Now, the chapter gallery also has additional options for organizing things and how they're labeled. But does that help at all, Lauren? Or Laura, I'm sorry. All right, so let's see. We have another question from Kristen Robbins. Do you have a specific CAPTCHA if we use a form? Recommend a specific CAPTCHA? Honestly, I'm not familiar enough with the CAPTCHAs to make a recommendation on that one. So I would definitely check in with your local web designer or anybody else that might be able to answer that. I do know that in the system we use a couple of different ones. Let me go to one of our sites here. Let me go to my chapter page. And one thing that is possible is that on a member's profile there's this send message. So we use this particular CAPTCHA. I don't know what company makes it off the top of my head. But that's the one that we use. And the reason we chose this is because of the international nature of BNI. We needed to keep the characters somewhat as clear as possible to be able to have pretty much Roman alphanumeric characters that were very clear for the easiest way to be able to view those. So I hope that helps, Kristen. Robert says, can the chapter webmaster assign new usernames and passwords for members? Unfortunately, Robert, the only thing that the chapter webmaster can do is to edit the chapter website. So that is the only special permission that a chapter webmaster gets, is the ability to go in and do the things that I was doing today with the chapter website. However, if you have people in your chapter that are struggling, they can't find their username and password, they don't know what to do, please, by all means, have them contact us here at support. We will issue them a new username and password. You can send an email to support@bniconnect.com. The other thing you could do is go to the support website. So again, click on this little question mark in here. Now, I'm already logged in, but I'm going to log out of the website for a second. You'll see a submit a request here at the top. So have them click on submit a request. Just fill out your name, your email address, a couple of pieces of information. Say, please reset my password. I lost my password. I was never able to log in. We will help you out with that. Does that help, Robert? All right. Do we have any other questions? Those are all the other questions that we had in our list today. Does anybody else have any questions about the CMS, about chapter websites, or about anything else in the system? I'm always happy to answer your questions. All right. If we don't have any additional questions, I would like to, again, thank everybody for being here. Again, this will be posted on youtube.com/BNI Connect Global when it's recorded, and it will be uploaded there. You can also find us on facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. If you would like some announcements about the webinars, also join our webinar group in BNI Connect. You can go to the groups section, and we have a BNI Connect webinars group, and find me on BNI Connect. My name is Jeremy Walsh. Again, I'm here. I'm a member in the Rhode Island area, and I'd love to connect with you in BNI Connect. So again, thank you everybody for your time today. I appreciate you being here. A good referral for me is to please go back to your chapters, let them know about these webinars, and please join us for our next webinar. Talk with you soon, and happy connecting, everyone.